What's going on, world? It is Wednesday, March the 12th. Yep, according to my phone, it is Wednesday, March 12th. Um, Hopefully, I don't know if you guys can hear, but the wind outside is going like crazy right now. Literally, like my whole room just shook a few seconds ago. So if you hear some crazy noises, because Mother Nature is out there doing her thing. Um, but yeah, as for me, I've been chilling all day, watching Archer on Netflix and eating Chick-fil-A. It's the day off, so gotta enjoy life's simple pleasures while I can before I get back to working for the man tomorrow. Um, Today I was just, I mean, not just today. For the last few days, I've been thinking about this whole like retail experience that I've had and that I'm still in. I'd say now I'm kind of on the more customer service side of retail now than actually being on the front lines, but it's one of the most like interesting experiences I've ever had. I would say anybody. I'm under the belief I think everybody should have to work a retail job. You can, I'd say at least for 6 months out of your life, you should have to. You should be forced to at least have one retail job to appreciate and just get an understanding of what like people go through on like a day to day, just dealing with people. I mean, you wouldn't think, or some people wouldn't think that talking to people is just it's all fun, games, laughs, and hoorahs, and sometimes it is, but for certain people, especially people like me, man, dealing with people all day is such a draining just task to deal with people's problems and things like that. I think, especially for me, because coming out of high school, retail is pretty much the only job available. I got my first job probably about 2 weeks, I think, after I graduated high school. I worked at a video store, when those actually still existed. And I was not a people person at all. I'm still not a people person. I don't consider myself to be, even though social skills have gotten a lot better since then. But back then, I was definitely not a people person. I wasn't going out of my way to make a conversation. Wasn't trying to get to know anybody. Didn't much care about your problems. I was pretty much all about me. And, when you're thrown on the front lines of a retail environment in this, kind of consumer-driven society, you're kind of forced to, you don't have to get to know people, but you have to interact with them. It's pretty much, that's the main key part of the job, is to make this, customer person who you don't know happy. And I think for me, it's been interesting just kind of learning and observing like the behaviors of people when they walk into like a retail environment. And it's so weird. I could be wrong, but I don't care. I feel like most people, like before they walk into a store, they probably have like the most miserable like life ever. And like they just come into a retail store and they get their power strut and they just kind of feel like, they're the man, they're the woman, they're the person in charge, they're the most important. And to an extent it's true. I mean, you have to serve customers, which, I'm cool with that. I'm here to help. It's what they pay me for. I don't mind doing it. But it's just the one, I guess, key portion that I've taken away from retail. I can't say taken away. I'm still kind of on retail, just more on the customer service side of things. But it's just like people have this sense of entitlement that like I never really recognized it earlier, but like it hit me like the last couple days I've been working, that like the average consumer, it's like we live in that fast food society where everything is, I want this now, and it's just I don't know. I don't even know how to describe it. Everybody wants these immediate answers, immediate solutions. If there's a problem, it has to be solved right now, even if it's something that I don't really have control over. And it really bugs me out when you get people that like come into the store and they complain to you about things that you have absolutely, zero control over. I remember when I first started working at that video store, And I remember when the PS3 had like first dropped, and PS3s back then, they were pretty expensive to rent, and the games were definitely expensive to rent. I mean, you were only holding them for like 3 days, man, and you were definitely paying a pretty penny to play those games. And I remember we had this one customer guy. I don't remember his name, but I hated him every time he walked in. I knew his face, and I was like, please don't come to my line. And of course he comes. He comes in, and he's got his son with him. Hold on, tea break. This guy comes in, he's got his son with him. And he didn't rent a PS3. I think he actually already had a PS3, but he didn't. Son didn't really have like a whole lot of games. So kid comes in and he rents like 3 games, and I can't remember the exact prices, but when the PS3 first came out, man, renting games was pretty expensive. So his 3 games had rung up to a pretty hefty price. And I just remember the dude looking at me, and he was like, why does this cost so much? And like, he wasn't saying it as a general statement. Like, he was literally angry at me, asking me why it cost so much. And I just remember like this, I don't even know if I replied to him. I think I just kind of shrugged my shoulder at him. It was like, I don't really know what to tell you, dude. Like, if you don't want to spend this much money on some games, you should, look at little Johnny Boy over there and tell him to pick 1 instead of 3. And it's just like customers come into the stores and they expect you to have these just answers and just like immediate solutions to things that you have absolutely no control over. I can service you, I can tell you about the game, I can, do that side, but I can't control what the price of, the game is. You want to discuss prices, you better head on over to corporate, because arguing with a cashier at a video store or at any store about any price is not about to get you a fair deal. And it was just those kind of situations always, excuse me, always just kind of stuck with me on the whole customers they have like this super entitlement like issue. And it's not all of them, but I would say it's a large portion, and that's the one thing I would say about any branch of retail that you've worked in. You're gonna have to deal with that. And it's like, I understand, because you gotta service your customers and all that hoorah, but some of them, they take it that extra notch just to be extra douchey for like no reason at all. And just at my job, I always get the one request I get literally daily, and I'm not even exaggerating. You'll get a person that calls in and they just want to know if a certain item is, in stock before they come up to the store. And it's like, all right, cool, I'll check stock for you. And they, you check the stock, and then maybe it's not in stock at your store. So they'll ask, oh, well, can you check the stock in so-and-so store? I can also go to that one. And it's like, all right, cool. And then you check the stock for that store, and they're like, oh, it's there. And then they'll ask you something crazy like, can it be shipped from the other store to here so I don't have to drive all the way there and I can just buy it here? And you're just like, where does that ever happen? Like, if I go to Walmart and they're out of Frosted Flakes, and the other Walmart, maybe 10 miles up the road has Frosted Flakes, Walmart A is not going to contact Walmart B and be like, yo, we out of Frosted Flakes, I'm going to need y'all to ship some over. Like, yo, if you want them Frosted Flakes, you better make that 10-mile trip up the road to go meet up with Tony the Tiger and handle your business. And, of course you can't tell a customer that in that kind of way. Got to inform them, fortunately we don't ship from store to store. And then they get this crazy, this crazy attitude, like you just have to do everything for them. You have to hold their hand and guide them, to what they're trying to get. And it's like, if you really want that product that bad, man, you better, better put some gas in that tank, boy, and get the rolling, because I can't do everything for you. And it's just so, I don't know. I think just working in retail is such a you'll find out how like mentally strong you are, because you'll constantly just have to deal with just people all day. And right now I'm dealing with Mother Nature. I don't know if y'all heard that, but the wind is like back going crazy again. But yeah, man, you just have to deal with just people all day, and just you'll find out how like high of a tolerance for just like people in general that you have. Like a lot of people, they think that they can deal with this all day. I think lucky for me, I have such kind of a chill, like borderline nonchalant attitude that it doesn't really bother me when people get angry. It just irritates me when you try to explain to somebody something and they act like they don't get it. And it's not that they don't get it. These average people aren't stupid. They just know that, they've heard that phrase that the customer's always right, which is probably the worst sentence that's ever been uttered in mankind ever. But, they've heard that phrase, so they try and abuse it and throw that customer power around to see if they can get what they can get. And it doesn't work. But it's just such a crazy experience, like just watching it unfold. Like you don't think about it while it's happening, but like sometimes when I get home and I just think about like the conversations I have with customers on a daily, and it's like, wow, like there are people are really, like people are losing it. Like I can't even fathom like putting myself in them shoes and picturing me saying or requesting like just some of the things that I've heard like people say. It blows my mind, seriously. I don't understand how some people can walk around every day like that. I don't know. Like I said, man, I think everybody should have to work a retail job, man. You'll appreciate that person in the store. I know before I used to work in retail, I was that one guy who would, you go into the store, pick up something off the shelf, maybe realize, a few minutes later you don't even want it. You just kind of throw it randomly on another shelf that doesn't belong. Little do you know, there's a coworker working. You think nobody's watching. There's somebody who was watching a few hours over, and he was watching the whole time just to see if you were going to do that, because he knows when the store closes that he's going to have to pick that back up. And now that, I've been in that position, and countless times I've seen people, I'll never forget, I won't say where I worked, but I was at my job. Day was almost over. Store closes at 11, but we get off at 11:30 because, we got to clean. And I got one last lady in my section. And I'm looking at the clock, and I'm like, please, lady, you got to get out of here. Like, I still got cleaning to do, and she's still in here trying on stuff. And she tried on literally, like, so many things. And she had, like, 7 boxes laid out on the floor of shoes. And then the whole time in my head, I was like, I know it. She's not going to pick one of these shoes up and put them back. And literally, like, I walked by her a couple of times and just kind of act like I was cleaning something else. But I was just walking by to see if she was going to put those shoes up. And when that voice came over the intercom to let the people know the store was closing, she did not put back one shoe. And the worst thing about it was, not only did she try on all of those shoes and not put them back, but like she wasn't even courteous enough to like close the boxes, at least stack it in a neat way. She had plastic and paper like all over the floor, boots going everywhere, and it's just like, I don't get it. Like it's like I said, man. People before they walk in the store, these people have to be like some of the most miserable people ever, and they come into the store and they just do whatever they feel like doing. And as an employee, you can't really say anything to them, but it's just, I don't know. Retail is one of those things, man. I think everybody should have to do it, man. You should have to be subject to witness and just deal with these interactions on a daily. You'll see how strong you really are, and you'll learn a lot. You'll definitely learn, like I said, I'm not a people person, but it'll help you I can't even say understand, but just seeing people's like interactions, you'll take something away from it. You may take an extreme hatred of people from it, which is definitely understandable, but you'll take away something from it. And for me, like I said, the thing that stuck out for me was I just realized how entitled some people believe they are, or, even though this country is a very customer service heavy, we serve a lot of people, but there's a difference between me servicing you and helping you and then me like pampering you. And like, I just feel like a lot of people want to be pampered, but yeah, I'm not sure what even the whole point of this rant was. I just talked. I'm looking at my time, and I'm running on 16 minutes now. So maybe you've taken away something from this video. If you've never worked retail, I'll probably let you know you probably can't dodge it, to be honest, especially coming out of high school, because pretty much all the places that are steadily hiring are all retail places. So you'll have to deal with everything I just talked about. If you're lucky, you'll get out of it, but most likely at some point you'll end up in the trap with the rest of us. You'll get through it though. You'll survive. You'll hate it, but you'll appreciate it. Everybody's got to start somewhere. So I'm gonna go back and sip my green tea. I'm running on about 17 minutes now, so I'm gonna roll out, do some writing. And hopefully, just on a quick note, I hope I might start doing like writing themed videos, because I've been working on like 2 books, so I want to like at least talk about writing sooner or later. But anywho, that's for another video, for another day. For now, I'm gonna sip green tea and relax for the rest of the night before I gotta wake up and do tomorrow. So y'all have a good night, be easy, and I will catch y'all later.